Return to Roots is a youth initiative designed to strengthen the idea of Zoroastrian identity amongst the youth. The birth of the program emerged out of an increasing disconnect between Zoroastrians in the diaspora and their ancestral communities in Iran and India. The trip itself is a means of fostering community links and identity by taking small groups of youth to explore their religious, social, and cultural heritage. RTR's vision is to return Zoroastrians to their roots, reconnect Zoroastrians to their identity, and revive the Zoroastrian community. Please welcome a lady you have already met multiple times, also at the Zoroastrians in Media panel, the lead coordinator for the Zoroastrian RTR program, Tanya Hoshi. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. All right, we're going to keep this fun, okay? I'm going to tell you a little story. So imagine this. It's 2016, and I'm scrolling through Snapchat when I see one of my cousin's Snapchat stories showing them on a tour in India. Now, my first thought was, how the hell did they let a Pakistani inside India? But then I see her surrounded by a bunch of friends, and I'm thinking again, Shireen does not have this many friends. And no offense, Shireen, but you just don't have 25 friends hanging out around you all the time. So I later found out that both she and my cousin Nilafur went on a Zoroastrian trip in India called Return to Roots, RTR for short. I'm sure you've been hearing RTR a lot, and that's just the acronym for Return to Roots. And of course, like many of you, my mind went to thinking, oh, it's one of those matchmaking trips for Parsis. My poor cousins must be so desperate if they ventured across the border to find their future husbands. And that's how cynical I honestly was back then. And to be honest, I was also pretty close-minded when it came to our religion or in religion in general. And my interest in my religion and culture was pretty much next to none in my teenage years and in my early 20s. And I simply put it down to not understanding the importance of Zoroastrianism when it came to my identity and my ancestry, and why both of these things really mattered. So the following year, I found myself in India. My cousin very sternly convinced me to apply and attend RTR myself. And after several delays and missing my original flight due to visa issues, shout out to the very friendly Toronto Indian Embassy, I found myself in Advada, right outside the Rancha, on day one of my first trip to India as an adult. Wait, let me fix that. I found myself outside India, outside Advada, in the Rancha, with a massive identity crisis on day one of my first trip to India. And I felt like a huge imposter in my own community. I hadn't prayed since my navjot. I didn't wear my sadra and kasti anymore. And I really hate to admit it in front of everyone, but I literally had no idea what the Rancha was. I did not even understand the significance of what this photo meant and what I was standing in front of at that time. But I was standing there not knowing a single person on this trip and hoping no one would find out all these things and judge me for it. But the judgment never came, and I'm so grateful for that. Instead, I was quickly embraced with kindness, empathy, and understanding from the Zoroastrian youth on this trip, many of whom could relate to my own experience of growing up Zoroastrian in the diaspora, who could relate to this feeling of not knowing enough about our history, our ancestry, and why it's important to stay connected and involved in whatever capacity that you're able to. So I'll let you take a peek into my trip through my eyes, and then I'll let you all know how you can experience this life-changing trip yourselves this year. Thank you. So the Zoroastrian Return to Roots program is the only international trip that exclusively exists for Zoroastrian youth. It's designed to strengthen community identity among Zoroastrian youth around the world through a 15-day trip in India, which takes a small group of participants on an exciting, fun, and educational journey to explore the religious, social, and cultural heritage. So, what do you get to experience? You get to experience a unique experience of visiting consecrated fire temples, which are unfortunately absent in the diaspora. You get to learn about the importance of rituals and customs, and I want to give a quick shout out to Anna Verarami. A lot of the photos in this presentation are from her, so thank you so much for being an incredible photographer on the trip we were on. You also get a better understanding of the greatness of our forefathers, the sacrifice they made to keep the flame alive. You get to give back to your community, so what we do is we make sure that participants have an opportunity to donate items and money to the Parsi Seniors Home, the Parsi Boys and Girls Orphanage, as well as the Parsi Infirmary, and they also have the opportunity to donate their own funds if they are able. So here's just a few photos of previous participants packing items for all those places I just mentioned. You also get an amazing opportunity to network. You will meet business professionals, entrepreneurs, politicians, government officials, medical professionals, architects, designers, scholars, researchers, and so much more during this trip. And you get a chance to ask them questions and connect with them, with the opportunity to continue conversations even beyond the trip. For those of you who don't know, in this photo, we got to meet Ratan Tata, which is a very rare opportunity, and he sat down and gave us an hour of his time answering any questions that we wanted to ask him. You also get this incredible experience. You get to experience our religion and community in a very unique way during this trip, which is why I always encourage folks, even in India, to attend this, because a lot of times you might not get these opportunities. So things like midnight prayers at the Rancha, that's always arranged for our trip. You get to be treated as esteemed guests everywhere we visit, and you get access to people and places you otherwise wouldn't when traveling to India outside of this trip. So in this photo, you'll see that we're at a library where we actually got to see some of our ancient scriptures that have been preserved over time. You also get to connect with other young Zoroastrians from around the world, and you get to make lifelong friendships, which is one of the things I honestly really value from this trip. I've been on 3 of them, 1 as a participant, 2 as a volunteer, and I know there's so many familiar faces in this room that I'm grateful for thanks to this trip. Just some of the very friendly faces. The entire trip is organized by a group of volunteers who select the participants and book all travel, meals, and accommodation for the duration of the trip, meaning you simply just need to show up. The trips typically include youth volunteers who are alumni of the program. In the past, we've had Zubin Gista and Sherzad Pavri from India attend and provide local insight throughout the trip. Sherzad also provides his knowledge as a practicing Mabed to help educate all of us about our rituals so that we're respectful while we visit the fire temples during the trip. And if you have questions like, how do I say these prayers? How do I do my Sardar Kasti prayers? There's no judgment involved. We will help you and you will be guided in the most kind way possible. Also, Kairas Arani is our trip medic, and he uses his skills as a paramedic to help take care of participants and encourage safety throughout the trip, if that's ever a concern. And he's also really incredibly bad at the game Mafia, if anyone knows that game. That's a huge RTR game that we play. All right, so that's all the fun stuff. I would love to get into the details now, because I'm sure a lot of you have never been on this trip and are curious, how can I attend? So roughly 25 youth are accepted every year to attend the trip. If you put in the effort in your application, you do have a higher chance of getting accepted and experience this once-in-a-lifetime trip, packed with exciting things to do, places to visit, food to eat, and interesting people to meet from all walks of life. Who is RTR for? This trip is for anyone that's interested in learning more about Zoroastrianism and helping to get more involved in their local Zoroastrian community. This is a really great program for youth who are struggling with their identity as a Zoroastrian, whether it's due to living far from other Zoroastrians, not growing up practicing the faith, having lost touch with the faith and with the community, or any other factors that are unfortunately out of your control. This trip is for any young Zoroastrian from around the world, including those currently in India. We have had many participants from India who have walked away learning more about their religion and their community. And the trip gives you access to scholars, institutions, and experiences you may otherwise not get access to even as locals. Here's a little fun photo we took. So I want to just quickly talk about RTR's impact. We have over 100 alumni now who have a stronger sense of identity and connection with Zoroastrianism after attending the RTR program. Everyone also leaves the trip with strong friendships from around the world. So on many occasions, if I'm traveling to a new country, I might know someone from RTR who actually lives there. And it's such an incredible experience being able to reunite with them there. Several have also gone on to organize congresses and forums. Many alumni have gone on to be leaders in the Zoroastrian community. It's also, for a lot of our alumni, going to RTR was their very first visit to an Atesh Bayram. I know it was for me. And each trip, participants and volunteers also get to donate a significant amount of money, so we do get to create impact while we're there. Now, I'm going to invite up 2 previous alumni just to give a quick testimonial. Of course, I would say great things about it. I'm part of the team, but I would love for previous participants to just come up and give a few words. So, Homi Setna, if you would just kindly come up and tell us what the trip was like for you.
Hi guys, I'm Homi Setna from Karachi, Pakistan. So I would like to say that this trip is like a balance of religious and like recreational sessions and activities. And so the highlight was the highlight of the trip was going to the ranch at 1 a.m. In the night and in Irwada. The experience was just surreal. And even the adventurous activities at the Dela Resort in Lonavala, which is obviously owned by a Zoroastrian. It was a great part of the trip. The Q&A session with Mr. Ratan Tata, as you can see, probably you have seen in the pictures. And so I would strongly urge everyone around the world to go on this trip, as it is definitely a once-in-a-time opportunity, and I'm sure you will not regret it. And you won't understand the meaning of it until you actually go on it and experience it yourselves. So even for people from Pakistan should not worry about the visa situation, because everything is really taken care of by the organizers. And I guess that's about it. Just enjoy the trip. It's really fun. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Homi. Thank you so much. Is Parshan here? Oh, here you are. Woo. Thanks, Parshan. Please share a few words.
Hello, everybody. So I'm going to just quickly share my experience. So I did the RTR in 2017. It was literally the first big event that I attended of any kind, as I was getting ready to plan the 7th World Youth Congress 4 years ago. And it literally changed my life and my perspective towards everything, because this trip is not just trying to sugarcoat things. It's not just trying to show us the good things about our faith. It's trying to show us everything about our faith. The issues that with it, the dialogue that comes with it, it's the most critical and the most honest dialogue that honestly I could have ever imagined. And so anybody, any one of you all from any corner of the world, if you are thinking about, hey, I want to really get that real essence and sense of what it means to be a Zartushti today, you absolutely have to do Return to Roots. And that's my one thing for you. Think about it, consider it. They're doing the program now, running and going. So if you can, look into it and try to do it, because it really is invaluable.
Oops, I forgot to change the slide, but that's some highlights from Parshan's trip. Thank you, Parshan. All right, so RTR has absolutely changed my life. During this 2-week trip, I gained a stronger grasp on my identity as a Zoroastrian, and I sparked my interest in staying involved and active in my community. After the trip, I've gone on to attend leadership forums, congresses, and share stories of our community online. And being involved in our community has really positively impacted my mental and emotional health. It's connected me with some of the most incredible people. It's connected me with so many people that I'm so lucky to call my friends today. And thanks to RTR, I also got to witness my new friends get engaged on the very first trip I was on. So that's Sanaya Master and Kaira Sarani. And then I got to attend their wedding literally a year later, which was so special. And then thanks to RTR, I also learned I'm very horrible at cricket. So anyways, I'm so excited to announce that applications are open. I sincerely hope that you consider applying for this trip. We're so excited to be back after 3 years of hiatus. I hope you use this experience to get more involved in your local and global Zoroastrian community, to keep our faith and our story alive for generations to come. Our next trip is going to be December 22nd of this very year, and it's going to end on January 4th. You can apply right now by going to zororoots.org. You can literally do it while you're here at the Congress. It only takes a few minutes. We've already received several applications, and we are doing acceptances on a rolling basis. Our deadline is October 31st of this year, but please don't wait till then because we're going in December. You can imagine that's the most popular time to go to India, and we need to book your flights now. So apply now so you can get your acceptances, and we can start booking your flights for you. And if you have any questions, I'm so happy to take that right now. Thank you. Yes, Tronish.
How old do I have to be to go?
Good question. The trip is for youth 22 to 35 years of age.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Yes.
Tanya, what would you... Oh, thanks. Sorry. Tanya, what would you say to an Iranian Zoroastrian who looks at this and says, this trip is not for me because my roots aren't in India?
That's a good point. My roots are also very much tied to Iran, and I've never been to Iran. And I wish that's something like we could organize, but unfortunately, due to the situation there, we can't organize a trip there, which I know a lot of youth want. We've had Iranian Zoroastrians come on this trip, so Parshan was one of them. And Parshan, if you want to chime in, feel free. I feel like you can speak to this better than I can about what this trip meant for you as an Iranian Zoroastrian.
Yeah, so obviously, one of the things I'll say, that Return Tours is meant at some point, hopefully, to include Iran, right? It was always meant to include all of our roots, but because of the geopolitical situation that is going on in Iran, it's damn near impossible to do that, right? That means 90% of our attendees cannot go, or if they do go, we might not be able to come back. And so that is the challenge with the Iran portion of it, being fully honest, right? And we have those challenges for a lot of folks who are coming from Pakistan to India as well. There's some challenges that goes on, but folks do everything they can to make sure that everybody is able to attend. And so there is a hope for all of us to be able to get to a point where we can go to Iran and see our roots there and visit folks over there, but that cannot, it's outside of our hands, it's outside the organizers' hands. But even as an Iranian American, even as somebody who, my roots are in Iran similarly, but there is so much that we learn from going to this trip that I would encourage everybody to consider going.
Do you feel like you had a better chance to connect with the Parsi Zoroastrian side of the community?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I think, again, it's not for me, it was just understanding so many things, learning so much more about the traditions that I haven't been exposed to, the sort of cultural practices, and, we have an entire part of our community that I've never been really exposed to in the way that I wanted to, and it was really the opportunity that gave me that, so.
Oh, thank you for that, Parshan. I'm thinking if any youth want to really get involved in a leadership level down the road, it's so important to understand both the Iranian and Parsi Zoroastrian experience. So for those of you who have missed out on the Parsi Zoroastrian side of that, we welcome Iranian Zoroastrians 100% to come and attend. And don't feel like you have to know all the customs and rituals. The point is that you're learning it, whether you're Parsi or you're Iranian.
Tanya?
Yes.
When you return from one of these trips and your parents and all your parents' friends are in awe of your experience, is there anything equivalent for them that they can also pursue? Is there an equivalent adult?
Well, that's a good question. Currently, because this trip is just for youth, I know they can't attend. I've opened this to everyone. Is there another trip like that for adults? I'm not aware of one. I know a lot of people come on their own and they go to all these sites by themselves after seeing what we visit, but I'm not currently aware, at least of Fazana organizing anything for adults at this moment. But if anyone does, please feel free to let us know.
Would just like to ask that which all are the places in India you cover? Only Udwada or some other places as well?
No, so we start in Mumbai. We go Traditionally, yes, we do go to Advara. We go to like Surat, we go to Navsari. In the past, we've also gone to Pune, we've gone to Lonavala, we've gone to Baroda, we've gone to New Delhi. That changes. So those last few do change. Depends on each trip. So each trip is very different, but we do all the staple pieces that are tied to our history. So we do go to Mumbai. You get to see all the impact our ancestors have had in Mumbai itself. And then you go up to Gujarat and you go see Surat, Navsari, and you get to visit the Rancha as well. Yes, in the back there.
How frequently is the trip? Is it every year or?
No, it's not every year because there are conflicts with other congresses, for example. So if you can't attend the one this year, the next one will be likely March of 2025, but that's not confirmed because next December is the North American Congress and Fazana's involved there. So we're not going to be able to organize Return to Roots then. So if you really want to attend before 2025, I recommend you apply for this trip.
I think one more over here.
Yes. Oh, the California road trip, yes. There's a California road trip happening this September. It's organized by Zaina, the Zoroastrian Youth of North America. If you follow them on Instagram, can you guys remind me of the handle? Zoro Youth NA. You can find all the information there, the dates and everything. But it's literally like a mini version of this in California where you get to visit all 6 fire temples that are in California. Again, it's a trip that's completely organized for you. You just have to show up. How old do I have to be for Lao? 21? Is that what I'm hearing? 21? Okay, well, I'll let... One last thing.
I just wanted to add a comment.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's more like a comment. I keep hearing this question about where does this trip take you to? We are literally not taking you all to places, so to say. It's actually an experience of sorts. And the experience is a very holistic one in terms of the conversations that you have. The reason we keep the group such a small-sized one, like it's not like a congress where there are so many hundreds of people that you keep meeting. There are people coming from different parts of the world, each one having their own question or a motivation, what they want to explore on this trip, and you get together to meet with these people, share your perspectives, and understand what it's like for them in their part of the world. So it's literally not geographical locations that we want to like showcase. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to mention.
Thanks, Sherry. That's really helpful to give that insight. This is why we have an application process. So not everyone who applies gets in. We're looking for people with the right intentions of coming to this trip. So if your intention is to get a free sightseeing tour, and it's not a free program, you're not going to get that. But if your intention is, I want to learn more about my roots, I want to connect with people, and I want to go contribute somehow back in my local community, and that's what we're looking for, then you have a higher chance of being accepted.
Hi, is it okay if I make a comment? It's not a question. So I just wanted to touch upon, there's a lot of talk about if you're not familiar with the prayers, if you're not really comfortable going to these places. I just want to say that even if you have been to all these places, like Tanya said, the experience is very, very relevant. For years, I thought I didn't need to go because I actually did grow up going to religious class and going to Atish Bairams, and I'm like, why would I go to see things I've already seen and learn things I've already learned? But I could guarantee you, like, even if you are very connected with your religion and if you've been to the Atish Bairams and the places, there's still things you cannot do outside of this trip, like VIP access only. So even if you are very connected to your religion, you will still gain something out of this.
Thank you. I'm being given the time, so just quickly, for those of you who are concerned about time off for this trip, I recommend talking to your employer about religious leave. That does apply to this. That's something I've used, and I've been able to take additional time off outside of my PTO. So if you need any kind of supporting letter and things like that, once you get accepted, we do give that so that you can give a letter to your boss or manager. And we also give visa letters as well, should you need that. Great, so thank you so much for your attention today. Just one quick thing, I would love to at this point invite all the alumni who are present for a quick photo. We do this every single year at Congress. So if you have been on a previous trip, please stand up and come to the stage. Thank you.
Everyone, please thank Tanya.
Thank you.
Tanya, did we see a photo of a custody being made as well?
Oh yes, you do get to actually see how a kasti is made, and then you get to actually you can make it yourself too.
Wow.
They do allow you to do that. It's really fun. There's so many things I haven't been able to cover in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Please follow us online to get more information. Stay up to date. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you.